Here we have Dennis Prager explaining why God is considered a he in the Bible, or why the people who created the Bible decided to create him as a he.
One of the criticisms many people make against the Bible is that it depicts God in male terms. The most obvious example is God is referred to as he. Why did the Bible do this? Well, here's the answer. Because the Bible is preoccupied with making a kinder, less violent, more just world.
That has nothing to do with okay. So he's saying that the creators of the Bible made their God a male because they were preoccupied with making the world better, yet the Bible is full of genocide, killing babies, killing people that don't believe in the same religion, killing people that work on Sundays or are gay. And it's like, how is that making the world a better, more peaceful place to go on, uh, crusades against other people because they believe something different or you just don't like the way they are?
If you share these goals, and I suspect you do, then you'll have to agree the Bible made the right decision.
No, no. Yeah, we may have the same um, wants, in a sense, a better world, but that doesn't mean the Bible is right on anything, or at least, making the God a male.
Before I explain, however, I need to add an obvious caveat. The God of the Bible is neither male nor female. God transcends gender. What I'm talking about here is why God is depicted in male terms.
That's funny. So, God, the God of the Bible is not male or female. So, when the Bible says we are depicted in the image of God, does that mean like intersex people are look more closely like God than a person that just identifies as male or female, or is just have the sex characteristics of a male or female? Huh, pretty interesting. Though it sounds like Dennis is being a bit woke here.
In the Bible. Gender-wise, the Bible had three choices: masculine, he; feminine, she; or neuter, it. We can readily rule out neuter. For one thing, neuter nouns don't exist in Hebrew.
That's funny. What he there is an all-powerful, all-knowing creator being, and yet it can't create a neuter noun in a language. Huh. Doesn't sound all-powerful to me. Though it also just shows that it's all just written by people because, an all-powerful being could easily give them a neuter noun and be like, yeah, this is what I truly am. But nope.
The language of the Old Testament, which after all, first introduced this God to us. For another, the biblical God is a personal God to whom we can and must relate.
Who we can and must relate. We have to relate to this being. So that's why they made the character male, because even women and intersex people relate to that. Like, doesn't make much sense. He was created male to give a sense to the people that like men are what have authority. Unlike in polytheistic religions where there's a god and a goddess, which signifies that both men and women have some kind of equal power in a society. It wasn't always the case, but it also depended on the culture and the people. There was a lot of groups that had a god and a goddess, and they saw each other as equals. And then there's a lot of cultures that knew about intersex people, and they were celebrated.
And we cannot relate to, let alone obey or love, an it. Aside from the language issue, the Bible depicts God in masculine terms because, one, The Hebrew Bible's primary concern is making a good world. 2, a good world can only be achieved by making good people. And 3, the people who commit nearly all the world's violence are males.
Okay, so then shouldn't the god be depicted as a feminine, since they would be more about bringing about peace and making a good world and being good people? If most of the world's violence is committed by males, uh,
Therefore, it is in both men's and women's interests to depict God in the masculine. Here's why. Without a father or some other male rule giver, young men are likely to do great harm.
no, you don't need specifically a male rule giver. You just need people that are good role models. That's all. The gender or sex has nothing to do with it.
If there is no male authority figure to give a growing boy rules, it is very difficult for him to control his wilder impulses. As President Barack Obama told an audience in 2008, children who grow up without a father are 5 times more likely to live in poverty and commit crime, 9 times more likely to drop out of school, and 20 times more likely to end up in prison.
Yeah, that's not because they don't have a father figure. That's because that family only has a single household income, which makes it harder for the single parent to afford stuff for the kid and themselves. Um, you have many people that grew up in a single mother household or a single father household and turned out bad. You have many people that lived the same situation and turned out good. It's not um, religious people want to blame like the lack of a father for like the fall of society, but that's not it. It's the dual income that two people can bring. And again, it can be two guys, two girls, two intersex people, two transgender people, whatever. But if both people are bringing in an income, that means more money that they can use to help give their kid or kids a better life.
Commenting on that speech, Dr. Alvin Poussant, a psychiatrist with Harvard Medical School, confirmed these statistics. The absence of fathers corresponds with a host of social ills, including dropping out of school and serving time in jail.
What is it? Correlation is not causation. Just because, I mean, it's like saying global warming is caused by the lack of pirates in the world. Because if you look at it, the global rise of temperatures started happening as the amount of pirates in the world decreased. But is that actually the reason? No.
In other words, if one's primary goal is a good world, specifically a world with far less murder, child abuse, theft, and rape, a God depicted in masculine terms, a father in heaven, not a goddess, a mother in heaven, must be the source of moral commands such as do not murder and do not steal.
Right. Though even though in the Bible, God commands people to murder people all the time, or steal stuff, or lie, and allow them to commit adultery, or commands them to commit adultery, and various other crimes. It is funny how these religious people try to claim that like their God is like good and all this, yet they ignore all the bad stuff he does.
If the father figure / rule giver that boys need is not on earth, a morally authoritative masculine God can serve as an effective substitute. Any discomfort?
Wow. Hey guys, if you don't have a father figure in your life, worship this fictional being and use it as your moral compass. Like, no, we can just help provide people with actual living real role models, or at least better fictional role models than the God character of the Bible, because I would have preferred like Static Shock as my role model compared to a the God of the Bible that loves to commit genocide.
Comfort you might feel with the masculine depiction of God is not comparable to the pain we will all feel if boys are not civilized into good men. To transform a wild boy into a good man, a male role model is as necessary as a male rule giver.
A wild boy? Like, no, kids aren't like wild animals. That's a weird way to think of children. But Dennis Prager does see kids as like monsters and stuff, like these weird abominations that we have to turn into quote unquote good men.
So when the Bible depicts God as merciful, compassionate, and caring for the poor and the widow, it is not so much interested in describing God as in providing a model for humans.
Okay, so when the god is described as jealous, petty, vengeful, when he commands people to murder and stuff, is that also a model for humans, especially males? Is that what they're supposed to do?
Especially males, to emulate. If God were depicted as female, young men would deem traits such as compassion, mercy, and care for the downtrodden as feminine and would not identify with them.
Oh no, that's so bad. We would see these behaviors as quote unquote feminine when nobody does. Nobody sees compassion as like a male behavior or a female behavior. People just see compassion as a human behavior because that's how humans should, feel towards others. But it's funny, they're going to act like if traits are associated as feminine, then it is somehow bad because women are in some way bad, even though he says men commit most of the violence, which would just say women are inherently better than men if that in such a situation. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of bad people on in all groups, but he's just trying to paint feminine traits, women and the such as somehow bad.
But if God, their Father in heaven, who is strong, on occasion even a warrior, cares for the poor and loves justice, mercy, and kindness, then these traits are also masculine and to be emulated.
I mean, there's been a lot of warrior women throughout history. It's in a lot of mythology. You got like the Amazon warrior women. In another mythology, you got the Valkyries of the Norse, who were actually the people who decided who got to go to Valhalla. It wasn't men who chose the people that went to Valhalla, but women, which showed that they had a lot of respect for women, actually.
The argument that girls equally need female role models to avoid violence is objectively not true, because the problem of mayhem and violence is overwhelmingly a male one. Of course, girls need female role models, but not to avoid violence. And, like boys, girls are more likely to obey a male authority figure.
Well, no. That's if you brainwash them into believing that male authority figures are inherently better, which is basically what he's doing with this video.
A report released by the Minnesota Psychological Association concluded, in a study of female inmates, more than half came from a father-absent home.
Okay. Where's all the studies of all the, criminal people that came from mother-absent homes? Like, how many people? Well, what are the stats on that? Why doesn't anybody ever talk about that?
It is therefore ironic that some women are attempting to render the God of Western religious morality less masculine because if their goal is achieved, it is women who will suffer most from lawless males.
Wow. If the God of the Bible is considered female, that means women will suffer because men are shit and will just start beating women. I mean, is this him saying that if the God of the Bible wasn't considered male, he would treat women even worse than what he does now?
We have too many absent fathers on earth to begin to even entertain the thought of having no father in heaven. I'm Dennis Prager.